Hi guys, there was a question around needing to write code for address validation using sort of data tools and other sort of logic. So I thought I'd do a little video. I just connected with Australian Post to look at different address validation, and one of the ones that they recommend here is various options. I've got to create a quick demonstration using Postcode anyway. So I signed up for an API and I went in and connected with one of their web services. So they've got a little web service here about doing searches. So they've got the links to the web services plus some nice examples and that of how to use it. So I thought that was pretty cool. So what I've done here is I'm going to go and take this URL. I'll click on it. I'm going to go and grab that. Now what we want to do is bring this into K2 to be able to go and utilize it. So inside of K2, what I'm going to do here is clear up my screen. I'm going to use a little tool here called the K2 Service Object Tester. It's what we use to provision new instances, generate smart objects. There's lots of things you can do in here. So one of the services I'm going to take advantage of is the Endpoint Web Service one. So we're going to go in here, register a new service instance. Specify how are we going to connect to that service. So I'm going to use the service account. Okay, so so the security of how I want to connect to it. So let's go and put in that URL inside here. So let's do that service. So what K2 does is I can give it a name now. So I'm just going to call this example here postcode anyway. Let's do it like that. Let's give this a bit of display name. Code anywhere. Call it Australia postcode anyway. So K2 hits that service, sort of gets a description of it, all the sort of things that you can do with it. So here we have now our Australia postcode anyway. Finds out all the sort of things around it. So if there were complex types, it goes in and sort of serializes those. The only thing that there's a list of the results, what the sort of definition of the results are going to look like. So what I really want is the service. So now I can take this service and I can build a smart object around it, or I can go to the service and generate a smart object. So for example, I'm going to go here, say create me a smart object. I'm going to put this into a little folder called a demo. I created that the other day. So there's a demo. Let's give it a little bit of naming. So postcode plus, let's just call this postcode finder, or something like that. Alright, so that's good enough. So let's publish that as a smart object. So that's now created a smart object. We can go now test that smart object. So smart objects, a demo, postcode find over here, methods, called the list method. I can pass in some of the values inside here. So what I'm going to do is refer back to some of the example information that they gave me here. I'm just going to put that onto another screen. So they've got an example of, so if we put in my key, so, whoops, so my key, and then a couple of their test data. So they've got like an example of a search term. So this is a UK postcode. Let's put a null value into there. Country, Great Britain. We'll change this to Australian in a few minutes. Language, EN. 7 suggestions and 100 results. Execute. So it now hits that service, and it should bring me back a list of whatever's returned back from that service. There we go. That's the first time it's returned. It's brought me a whole bunch of IDs, which we can use to get more information, plus a bunch of results. So let's change this now to Australia, and let's start putting in a bit of address. So 12/6 Mandalong. So there we go. Unit 12/6 Mandalong Road, Mosman. So that's an address that's here in Australia, and that's sort of showing you an example of getting K2 to connect to that sort of system. hopefully gives you a sense of that sort of connectivity. So the next thing we can do is go and use that smart object on a form as an example. So here is an example where we can knock one quick example up together. So here's our demo, postcode finder. Let's just generate, let's build a little result set on top of this. Find a postcode, something like that. Obviously do it a bit nicer. So let's bring back our text results back. We'll list results over there, and what we'll do is I'm just going to put some controls at the top here. You can normally do this a lot neater. I'm just going to throw it together here. One of the fields I'm just going to throw in is just a little, well, let's put a little table at the top here. Something like that. Let's put in a text box. Let's put in a little button. Just dropping these on here. Let's go to the button, add a rule. When the button is clicked, execute the views list method. It's going to take in some parameters, so we're just going to fill those in, and I'll pause here and just fill them in quickly. So just filled in some of these things. We'll just take the text box value in as a search term over there. Let the output just needs a last ID. I think I could make that -1. Remember, and let's switch off the rule, but as soon as this form loads, so I don't want it to load straight away, only when you click the button. Let's check that view out. Alright, so I go and put an address here, 1206 Mendelong, hit my little button, that hits the web service, and there is the address found for us then on a web page. So that's now a view on top of the smart object, and then of course I can put this view inside of a inside of something else, inside of a form or in a little item that you can click on, and it opens this in a subform. That sort of logic. Here's an example of that being used. Let's get a little example here together. Yeah, so here's an example. Whereas I type in a postcode, I hit the search button, and then it's opening up a little window, kind of like the one that we just created with a list of all the addresses sitting inside there. And then you can go and select an address, and it fills in the form. So that's an example of a way of taking advantage of something else, like a web service or something that some other solution provides. Being able to generate a service out of it, turn the service into a smart object, and then go and consume it. Other ways of also creating this as a smart object, probably the way that I would normally do it, instead of just quickly generating it, I'll probably make the postcode finder smart object, but have the key and certain other properties embedded, so that whenever you use a smart object, you don't have to worry about those extra fields.